I put in work, a lot of work. Got on my grind to make it work. I put in time to ease my mind. Now all the time I see dollar signs. I got the juice and barbecue. Yeah, I keep making moves, cause I know what to do, I put in work.
Welcome back to another episode of Network+Chill. I am your co-host, Chris Redd, joined with Ricky Mason. And today we are honored to have our first guest ever come back on Network+Chill. Man, 2019, bro. Like 2019, we did our first event at The Root in New Albany. And it was really just a small event that we kicked it off. And I met Josh Lau right before then. And he came down from Lexington, and we've been keeping in contact and become great friends ever since then. So looking over 3 years ago, welcome Josh Lau, the CEO and co-founder of Nymbl Systems.
What's up, Josh?
What's going on, guys? 3 years? Definitely didn't feel, it hasn't felt that long. So that's crazy.
I know. Ricky and I just said it the other day when we realized it's been 3 years. So, man, for those who don't know, give us a quick background of who you are, maybe your entry point into entrepreneurship, and give us a update on what you're working on at Nymbl Systems.
Yeah. So a little background about myself. I am the founder of Nymbl Systems. We are a healthcare records and practice management system. So if you were to go see your physician when they're taking notes on their tablet, right, our platform is a web app that keeps track of appointments, patient records, billing, and then for our industry, we have like an inventory and purchasing component. So we started out in orthotics and prosthetics, and we went to market probably June of 2018. Since then, we've implemented 450 clinics. We probably have 700 under contract right now. We are expanding into another vertical as well. I'm not going to go into too much detail there yet. It's still like a kind of under wraps, but my entry point into entrepreneurship, really, like I wasn't even looking at starting Nymbl. It was merely just trying to find a solution for a client of mine. So I graduated from UK back in 2012 with a degree in biology. Yep, go Caps. And I was looking at medical school at that time. But that was also the first year the ACA was rolling out of the Affordable Care Act. So a lot of physicians I was working and shadowing with, everyone was worried they're going to get like twice the hours, half the salary. And with where student debt was and everything, probably wasn't the best move. So I ended up taking a year off and worked, part-time jobs around town and ended up in IT consulting. So with that, one of our clients was in the orthotic and prosthetic space, asked me to look into some new software for them. Spent about 6 months of doing research and diligence and really couldn't find anything that could fit this industry's needs. So one night, the owner and I, we were just joking around, asked him if he'd be interested if I started my own company, if he would invest or be our first customer. Luckily, he did both. And then, from there, I introduced me to his network, and that's really how we got started.
Man, I love it. I think a couple of questions. So, I think back in 2019 we met, right? I think you probably raised probably ballpark a little around $3 million by that time. Yeah,
I think like beginning of 2019, I was probably around like maybe two. But since then, yeah. And
let's talk about the growth a little bit. So how many companies how many clients did you have back in 2019 compared to now? Then talk us through, man.
So let's just say like 2019 was our first full year in revenue, right? Since then, we've at least doubled every single year, if not tripled. For this year, we already doubled since the beginning of January, like a little over 100% growth, right? We're hoping to end the year more on like a 4x, 4.5x. And that's like revenue, clients, users, like everything, right? Like across the board.
Man, congrats, bro. That's huge, man.
Yeah, congrats, man. That's huge. That's like that venture double, triple. That's what you want to do. I'm kind of curious. I don't know, probably like you said, first year of revenue 2019, and compared to now, and you have this growth. What was that inflection point? What has kind of you figured out as the entrepreneur, as a founder now, and how have you kind of expanded that growth year on year?
Yeah, this year I think is our biggest growth year, right? Like if you're comparing what we ended 2019 to where we at now, like 10x, right? So I would say like the biggest turning point was getting like enterprise clients. Like the first couple of years was like a lot of hustle, getting like your small to medium sized customers. But if you're able to land that enterprise group, like it changes everything. So like for us, it was on the B2B side, we just like the functionality of the platform needed more. And we finally, we were able to deliver that product, earlier at the beginning of this year. But I would say for like any other companies out there, like I was reading this article the other day, I saw it on LinkedIn. It was like the odds of you getting to 100 million without like 100K plus contract, like ARR, like annually, is like slim to none, right? And for us, like we had a lot of like 15, 20K type contracts early on, but now we're getting into like the 100K to 300K plus. That's, changing the game quite a bit.
Yeah, man. Can you talk about that transition in the software? So I remember back in 2019, more on the, the inventory, side, like product. Like I remember the discussion about like just all the different prosthetics and everything, like trying to figure out all of that. So can you talk about the transition from there to now being, the management software?
For sure. Like I think early on, as far as like product requirements, right, it was just like trying to get an MVP. You keep your product sort of lightweight just to hit market. And then over the past couple of years, we had like a lot of learning experience with our clients now, and then sort of like what the enterprise groups were looking for to sort of build up to where we're currently at. But like a main focus of ours has always been around like UI, UX, and like keeping the platform simple. So for like our product compared to others, like the training and implementation is like significantly lower than what you would need from our competitors, right? So that's something we sort of kept in mind as we continue to grow and scale. And you have all these like legacy softwares out there right now. Like the timing is super weird. Like a lot of the, vendor groups I'm talking to, like they're seeing this inflection point of like SaaS 2.0 or SaaS 3.0, right? Like you have your legacy incumbents, right? Maybe like, I don't know, in the CRM space, right? Salesforce, obviously, like they're still leading, they're still doing everything, but you have all these newer CRMs out there, Sugar CRM. I think there's like a handful of other ones, right? But also in like the healthcare and banking space, you have your legacy platforms like being displaced by newer companies like ours. So back to your question, Ricky, of like where the products evolved to, like I would say it's adding additional complexity, but also like trying to keep that like as simple as possible.
Yeah.
Then like cool. From there, for us, like we're in a unique position because like we're like a system of record. So like we have all this data flowing through, right? Like for us, in terms of like medical claims and insurance claims, right? We probably have over 400 million of medical claims passed through our platform since like 2019. Like 250 million came from last year. We're probably looking at doubling that number now. So like being that core system of record, it gives us like a lot of opportunity to like cross sell like other product lines or services than just like the core part of the system, which is where we're getting some of this growth as well.
Yeah, and I think that's like you find that product market fit, and you're like, we got the sauce right here, but we just got to add this component that everybody else is kind of doing a little bit of, so that we can get you what we want to get to you. So it's like cool to see that growth. I feel like with what we're doing with Brainstem, we have like a similar like growth path. It's like, yeah, we have this, but wait till you see the full picture, and then you'll see what we're doing.
A lot of it too is like a lot of the clinics that we're talking to, like they're using 4, 5, 6 different SaaS platforms, right? And it's like, all right, which one makes the most sense for us to roll in to like build into our workflow and things like that. And that's how we're slowly just like, I guess, taking over that space.
Yep, that's cool, man. And the integrations, I think that's really one of the keys to that. Integrating with those platforms that they're kind of already using and figuring out which ones are going to be beneficial, I think is one of the major keys there, man. So I love that.
For sure. Like integrating with what they have, and then even integrating with like other products that you don't want to build, right? Like integrating with Stripe, integrating with like Outlook, Google Cal, right? Twilio. Like these are all like I would say relatively low code type platforms where if you wanted to get something operational, like you can do it pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And thinking through that process, that growth scale, Josh, really finding that going from the small and medium sized clients to those enterprise clients now, how did you kind of evolve internally as a company to be able to handle those larger type of contracts and while still building the product and adding to the product?
Yeah. So it's funny because like my leadership team, like they harp on this all the time. I'm still very much in startup mode, but it's like a lot of processes and documentation, right? Like you have to be able to get all this down. And as our team continues to grow, right, like the knowledge early on was like all in my head. And then it's like, how to get it down on paper, how to make sure other employees or the rest of the team knows, like, what is it that, like, how does it even flow and how does it work, right? Like for this client in particular, for this enterprise client, like what are their needs, their wants, right? And if they're looking for A, B, and C, like our answer for that is like X, Y, and Z, right? And just making sure that message is consistent across like sales, training, support. So for us to like get those larger enterprise groups, like, instead of having to close like 100 small clinics, we closed one with 100 offices in them, right? So the process has become, I guess, more formal, and then having everyone on the same page there, knowing like accountability wise, like what they're responsible for, has helped us at least get to where we are now, right? For this like next phase where we have to get better at that part and, like literally become a machine in that standpoint where, if we know this client is coming in, what is it exactly that we're trying to do, or what is it that our team needs to do to help them, like, make the most of Nymbl.
Yeah. So how has your team grown since 2019, and like what have been those key things that you've kind of been like, okay, I gotta let go of, and those things that I've been like still trying to hold on to?
No, for sure. So right now we're about 22 team members. With this close of this round, we're probably going to be bringing on like 5 more within like the next, our goal is hopefully 90 days, right? And then an additional 12 more after that. So look to grow pretty aggressively there. And I guess to like what I had to delegate or let go, I mean, it was basically all of it, right? Like I'm not going to get to where, like we're not going to get where we're at just like if I have to micromanage everything. And like my position in the company now is more like, I mean, we're implementing a new framework called the Entrepreneurial Operating System, EOS. Not sure if you've heard of it. I think the founder is called Gino Wickman. Book is called Traction. So we're right on the verge of that. But my role right now sort of is like the visionary, right? So like I'm looking for new revenue streams, new revenue opportunities, partnerships, market expansion, things like that. Also dealing with like all the shareholder responsibilities, board responsibilities, right? And then we have, my like co-founder, first hire, Chad, doing all our sales, right? Then we have our CTO, CIO, who's leading all tech initiatives. And then, departments for training, support all of it. So it's been working out pretty well. It's got lucky, found the right people, got them on the right seat of the bus, right? And now we're rocking and rolling.
And what did hiring look like? I mean, you kicked off in 2019, pandemic happened. So how did you, hire during that time and like grow that team?
Yeah, no, we hired during that time. We never let anyone go. Got lucky there, right? For us, like we were full remote, I would say like even 6 months pre-COVID. And then, having virtual meetings already, like, weekly stand-ups. Like we have people working from the Bay Area down to Florida. So we were pretty familiar with operationally how that works. So it really didn't like hinder us at all. And then from the hiring process, a lot of it, like it got easier for us. Like we were looking for talent everywhere. And because we were like on the remote side early, people were looking for that opportunity, to go full remote. So it helped out there. I would say development wise, it was super hard though. Like we were competing against everyone else and people were like paying hand over fist, right? Obviously like that's blown back on them now. So, I would say we didn't overpay at that time. Like we were pretty disciplined and, we knew what what our max budget was, what we were looking for. If we couldn't find that right person, right, we weren't like gonna, burn an extra 50, 60, 70K just to get them right. And now I think sets us up in a good position. You have all these new like developers that may have been like offers were rescinded, like whatnot, and we're able to come in and still grow and do what we need to.
Yeah, I don't know if this is in parallel, but you mentioned hiring and being remote, and part of that too is also during the pandemic you moved to Phoenix, Arizona.
Yep.
As a big thing, and you were working out of there. How did that kind of open up your network a little bit in a different way? And has that had anything to do with maybe the growth trajectory of their company as well?
Yeah. So as far as like opening up the network, I think it opens it up significantly. Like Phoenix, I would say, is an up and coming hub where they're trying to make this big push for it. Like outside of Silicon Valley, right? I mean, Utah is pretty big as well, Colorado. But for Phoenix, though, a lot of these VC firms are coming in here. There's like startup events, like pitch competitions, right? That I actually pitched at, and you had VCs like from all over come in, like pre-networking event. So to expand to some of like your top tier firms out there, it was great exposure and great connections. And then from like being remote, like the phase we were in our company, like I would say, 500K to like a couple million, it worked out for us. But where we're at now, like going from, we're 2.5, 3 million to hopefully like, who knows, operationally, we feel that we're going to need to be centralized. So I'm actually moving back from Phoenix to Columbus with a few of our team members right now as well, setting up as like, that's going to be the new, I guess, main work area, right? We're going to be hiring around, trying to plant the team around there. Development is still going to be full remote, but on the ops side, we're looking at centralizing everything, or like having a hybrid model.
Yeah, I kind of like that, man. Our team, we've been full remote since pandemic. Oh. But yeah, we've been full remote since
any
pandemic.
Particular reason?
Go ahead, bro.
Go ahead, Ricky. No, you can. No, go ahead.
Yeah, I was saying we've been full remote since pandemic, and we've been really like just using the metaverse for most of our team meetings and everything. So it's been really cool. But I think that having most of our ops here, like centrally located in Louisville, has been great for us. But I mean, everybody works from home. Like I was just joking with one of our teammates yesterday. I was like, we probably never had you come in person do anything more than 4 hours. So it's kind of funny, but yeah.
Yeah, there's like 5 or 6 people on the team that I've never seen in person, right? Like we've never had that interaction. And for us, like, I mean, doing this for like 3.5 years, right? Like after year 2, like year 2.5, like, 2.5, 3, like pushing on that, just like getting that even, weekly type face-to-face interaction, like it's so much more valuable. So I think like everyone on the team is sort of like ready for something like that, right? The first couple of years, it like, dude, just wake up, roll out of bed, do what you need to do, like not have to worry about anything. And like, it was awesome. But especially for like our plans and where we're going, just need to over communicate, and having like being able to do that like in person at the office. We feel, I know, who knows, right? Maybe like we could have done it full remote, but at least where we're starting at right now, we feel that we need to all be like, the majority of us need to be there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you mentioned Columbus. So is there already people in Columbus, or is there a certain strategic reason why you chose Columbus, Ohio?
Yeah. So the VC that we're like finishing negotiations with, right, they're based out of Columbus, but also we have people in like Northern Ohio, and then from Lexington, it's sort of like the midpoint, like 2.5, 3 hour drive for both groups. So that's another main reason why we just chose Columbus there.
Excited, man. I mean, I know we're going to be excited to have you back closely to the region. I know I got to connect to you a couple months ago when you were in town, but I think folks in Kentucky, we love the support that companies that came out of this area, and so we'll be happy to have you back within this region.
For sure. It'll be good to be back.
Yeah, kind of curious, so now you talk about the next round of funding. And so, really what is I guess your intent? We were just talking earlier to Alex Reed around mergers, acquisitions, and exit strategies. What is the next phase for Nymbl Systems and with this round of funding? You've mentioned hiring. I'm assuming other lines and other growth, but long term, are you kind of thinking and position yourself for something like that?
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that. Like when I first started out in Nymbl, like all I knew was sort of like organic growth, like go out, get customers, and then go from there. Like the M&A side is a completely different game that I've had to learn pretty quickly. Beginning of this year, just like it opens up a whole new like world of opportunities. Like so from that standpoint, I got a crash course in PE, basically how a lot of those groups operate. And then, sort of like the tuck-in roll-up strategy, just like grow top-line revenue, get economies of scale, hopefully get, pick up the pieces as they fall. You're buying all these groups over, centralizing everything, right? And then driving margins there. So like exit opportunities for Nymbl, so like growth opportunities, like that strategy, like still is there and available for us, right? And to push from like 10, 20, 30 million to like 100 million, obviously like having just the killer product is going to be one thing, but if you can accelerate that with acquisitions, like we already have a couple people that we've identified, and it's going to be our goal to sort of make our first acquisition hopefully within like 6 months of this round closing, right? So in terms of strategy, like our goal is hopefully $1 billion plus valuation, right? And to get there, you can do it organically, but the inorganic route, aka like acquisition, right, definitely accelerates that timeline. And like you have to be strategic about it, whether it's from a tech stack perspective or customer acquisition cost, right? Like if you're just solely buying someone just to get the customer base and pushing them over to you, it's a different game. It's a fun game to like think about and play, but sort of like where we're going, it'll be a blend of both strategies, right?
No, I like that. I think even hearing that and coming from our last conversation, it's great to hear like even your vision on that piece and growth, and also the insights you already gained and garnered by having those conversations earlier this year and understanding what they're looking for. It gives you a target and goal to go after.
No, definitely. And like, when you're getting that 10, 20 million range, right? If you're looking at companies that are like 20, 30% year over year growth, not having that crazy growth rate gives like decent opportunity to like bring them in if you can like, get value strategically and utilize them there.
Yeah, and I love that strategy too, because our last conversation was setting up your company to be, acquired, but now you're talking about using acquisition as a growth strategy, for your business. So I love that idea, and it's some of the things that I've been kind of like looking at too, like from the business standpoint, like who would I acquire if I could to make our business, a lot better, for their customer base or something like that. So I love that. And I think that's a whole conversation in itself.
Now it's funny that you mentioned that, Ricky. Like there's something you said there. Like if you're my experience, right? If we were setting ourselves up for acquisition, like you drop the ball on so many other things operationally on the growth side, right? Like we had an acquisition offer on the table earlier this year. We were exploring it. Like it was a huge distraction, and like our growth month over month was maybe like 5% during that time. But once we turned it down, refocused and focused back on the business, like we're back up to like 19-20% month over month growth, right? Wow. So I would like the way I'm looking at it now is if like whenever that time is right for an exit, you have to sort of invest in that. But at least early on where we're at, there's no way to like grow the business while looking for an exit. It's like one or the other, I feel. And if you're looking for that exit, that's fine. Like that's like a full-time job, or get an investment bank. You're trying to play PE groups against each other, things like that. But I think those are two totally different like routes for the business, though.
Yeah.
And you mentioned too, I think, I'm in healthcare, and having that healthcare, like you talk about these legacy systems and EMRs. I think you notice a consolidation on the market where you have some of these older players in the market. And that kind of changed your perspective, and you saw that as an opportunity. Can we go acquire some of these legacy systems and consolidate the market and us excel our growth that way?
For sure. Yep. Exactly.
I love it. Yeah, because I've definitely been seeing that, right? And you see some of these smaller healthcares, and there is a ton of opportunity there. So keep us in the loop. Will we staying in tune for the news when you shake up the market a little bit? All right. Just kind of, shifting a little bit before we leave. We'll have a couple hot seat questions for you. Outside of hiring, growth, moving, essentially, what else are you looking forward to in the next stage of the company as you raise the next round?
Yeah. For us, it's always been just like, I guess for me, it's always going to be, we're just pushing the envelope further. And for us, it's like, we have the core product and now we're like launching additional like revenue lines, revenue streams potentially, right? And then on the acquisition side too, it's like a completely different game that most founders don't even get like the chance to be a part of, right? Like on the buy side or the sell side. So I think that's what's going to be most exciting. Like growing the headcount, growing everything like that, trying to maintain culture, I think will be a good challenge to have, right? But we'll see, man.
What strategy have you implemented now? Like even being remote, like you mentioned culture. How have you maintained that, or how have you cultivated the culture as an organization? Because it's probably shifted quite a bit over the last couple of years.
I'd say as of recent, we've done a poor job at it. And like we do it during the hiring process, right? Looking for the people that we feel like will be a culture fit. But like it's really hard to do culture virtually. And like I haven't figured out a way to crack that. And like other founders I've talked to are having that issues, right? Like people are trying virtual happy hours, virtual like everything else, but like it's definitely not the same. Right, as being in office or doing things together as a group. So for us, outside of hiring, and just like daily interactions, like with our team, we talk daily. Maybe not for scheduled meetings or anything like that, but just like as if we were in person, like trying to figure stuff out or what we need to do. But outside of that, it has been difficult. So not too much more I can offer there.
Yeah, I think we all work on that in the environment and trying to figure that out. And, whether it's scheduling some quarterly retreats or when you come in person or something like that, it's not going to be the same as the day-to-day interaction. You just have to take a little bit more intentionality what that looks like, where you still have some in-person interaction, whether that's on a yearly or quarterly basis for some type of retreats. But I think you alluded to that gap and really trying to figure that out by having the team more centralized in Columbus and the surrounding areas where you can have some more of that interaction a lot easier.
For sure.
I'm advocating for the metaverse.
Yeah. They're gonna like buy everyone an Oculus and then get them logged in there.
Yeah, man, hop in. But even if it's just like like a video game, like just on your screen, but you got your avatar there. For us, it creates conversation sometimes. Like someone shows up as a different avatar. Hey, what you thinking today? Why'd you show up, as that avatar? How you feeling? So, but yeah, I'm an advocate.
That's cool. I'll have to give that a shot then.
Yeah, you've been mentioning that, Ricky. So we'll have to figure something out and try to test around that in an episode or something like that, and then see how that goes.
Yeah, Network+Chill in the metaverse. Let's do
it. I love it. Well, I'm gonna wrap up, Josh, to kind of give you some time back, but we want to give a quick hot seat round. So I got like 5 questions for you. First answer that comes to mind, let us know. So let me know if you're ready.
All right, let's go.
All right, first question. What's your favorite book recommendation and why?
Oh, I think I may have mentioned it earlier. So right now, at least for the phase we're in, Traction, for sure, is like it gives a good framework of how to set up the company and get everyone on the same page on like a process and like accountability, right? Like there's a lot of books out there, Brad Feld and others that talk about like theoretically like what a startup is and like growth and scale, but like they don't really give you a game plan of actually how to do it. So this one is more operational, but traction by Gino Wickman for sure.
Got it down.
Pick that
Love
up.
it.
Yeah.
All right. Second question. What's a best piece of advice or recent piece of advice that you have been given?
Okay, let's see. It's funny because I've been talking to a lot of like advisors lately on the close of this round. So best piece of advice that I've come to realize now is like, it's cliche, I would say, but like get a good legal team or get a good lawyer. Because like starting out early, there's some agreements that I probably shouldn't have signed or like our legal should have called out, right? That ends up like coming to bite you in the ass. So get a good legal for both good and bad, right?
Yep. That's key. Need that in place. Yeah. All right, next one. If you had unlimited money, what would be your ideal getaway or vacation?
Let's see. All right. So fortunately, like I've like had the opportunity to visit like Australia once. So Sydney was super cool. Would love to like go back there.
Nice.
Like if we were expanding internationally, might lead up like the Australian go-to market there. But Sydney was really fun.
I love it. It's on my list. I've not been to Australia, that side of the world, so I'd love to get down there at some point. All right.
Yeah, for sure.
What two people? Yeah, I appreciate that. All right, next one. What two people would you pair to birth the ultimate entrepreneur?
That's a good one there, Chris. Ultimate entrepreneur. Let's see. Let's go Jobs with. I mean, I don't know if it has to be a female, but I don't know. Jobs and Elon, I think would be crazy.
Jobs and Elon, I like that.
That would be pretty crazy.
Yeah.
All right, last one. And this one, you may be trying to create this sauce right now, but what's the secret sauce to making unicorns?
Secret sauce to making unicorns? Oh, man. I definitely would have to say product market fit for one, right? But from there, I think you can do a couple ways, which is crazy because everyone talks about like large TAM and like, going after it with like a wide product. But if you go super deep and you're able to capture a lot of different streams, like what we're doing right now, I definitely think you can do that as well. I mean, it's been done in other healthcare sectors. So for us, product market fit outside of that, like it has to be enterprise contracts, right? You're not going to get we're not even going to get there even in going deep without enterprise customers or like those larger contracts.
Love it, man. I appreciate the answers and feedback. It's been great to catch up with you and see how things are going your way. For those who joined in today, how can they stay in contact with you and reach out to you if they ever need anything?
Yeah, man, for sure. There's also one thing that I want to throw on your all's radar. Chris, I sent your info to them as well, but Morgan Stanley, Microsoft, Walmart, and then one other group, it's like a marketing group, just made their own $50 million fund. It's like it's looking at minority type founders, things like that. It's called Next Level Fund. So
Next Level Fund.
Yeah, I'm gonna shoot an intro, hopefully to Chris and Ricky if you want one too. But man, to one of my guys there. But yeah, we're talking to them right now. But thought might as well give a shout out while I'm on here about that.
Yeah, man, that definitely
appreciate it, man. I love that.
Cool, man.
All right, always been a pleasure.
All right, thanks, guys.
Appreciate you, bro.
Later.
I
Put
enjoy
in
that.
work, we're diverse. A lot of work.
Grateful to be kind of
Got on my
And I had like
grind
this
to
65-year-old
make it work. I put in time to ease my mind.